All right, so let's take a look at some of the basics of Ableton Live 7. These features I'm going to point out are important to get set up as you begin your production, your use of the program, so that really helps speed things along. So let's go down here to the bottom right hand corner, point out a couple of important buttons here. We've got some tab buttons, or I/O. I'll turn that on and off. You can see that brings in our ins and outs. So we get audio to and from each individual track, allows us to route audio to and from individual tracks, all kinds of creative uses for the ins and outs section, which we'll certainly get into in some later tutorials. So I can tab those on and off just by clicking on the I/O tab. Below that I've got the send. So I can tab that on and off. You can see I've got one send. If I need another send, we can go right up top to insert, pull down window, open up insert return track. I'll click there. You can see we bring up another send B. If I want to see those returns, we go right back over here, click on our tab button for R, return. See they're listed right there. So again, very handy way to open and close these windows. I've already got my meter section open. That's right here. I'll open and close the meter tab. We can also extend the height of our meter section by mousing over top and just dragging up. So increase the height there, get a better view of what's going on with our audio and with our MIDI for each track. Below that, got delay compensation meters here. Track delay. We'll toggle those off. You can also see that I can toggle on and off my chooser sections for my crossfader. So if I want to select A for track 1, B for track 2, I can do that. Now I can go back over to my crossfader, activate that input with the crossfader itself. So I can toggle this, hide that. So there you go. Those are our views. Quick handy way to work with those with our tab buttons over here to the right. Something else really important to show you. If you go up here to the very top, you see the word none here in this chooser window. I'll click and hold, and I'll go down and I'll change the none to 1 bar. Why do we want to do this? Well, this chooses the global quantize feature in Ableton Live. And this gives you several timing options to work with in accordance to playing clips and to playing scenes. And the activation of the global quantize forces all your clips and scene launches to synchronize together and all start playback on the downbeat of the next bar. So we'll leave that on a bar. So now everything will line up once we get into working with audio and MIDI within the session view. Alright, so a couple of more features to show you. Just some basics as you're getting started with Ableton Live 7, hopefully speeding up the process as you begin your production and work with the program. Let's go over here to the far right, in the upper right hand corner. You'll see that I've got my Session View Selector tab and my Arrangement View Selector tab. What happens when we select that Arrangement View Selector tab? And this is our arrangement view, which we're going to be getting into later. Lots of possibilities here, working along the timeline, working in that linear format. So we'll touch on the arrangement view a little bit later in another tutorial. Let's go back and select our Session View Selector tab. Another quick macro for that is the tab key on your keyboard. And another very obvious feature in Live 7, what I consider the heart and soul of the program, is over here on the left side. We've got our selector for showing and hiding the live browser. So I've got a row of buttons here. We'll start at the top right underneath that selector. We've got our live device browser, which is opened up now. This brings up our Ableton instruments. You can see here, including Impulse, Simpler, Operator, all kinds of different instruments that we'll discuss in some future tutorials. Close that up. We've got our MIDI effects down below there. Open that, you can see we've got all kinds of effects that work with MIDI instruments, including the arpeggiator, the chord effect, pitch effect, velocity, the scaling, all kinds of really fun effects that we can work with there. And the last folder that's inside our live device browser is our audio effects. So I'll click, open that up, and you can see I've got quite a selection of different audio effects inside this folder. Compressors, our EQ, our noise gate, flangers, our spectrum analyzer, all kinds of really amazing effects that we'll get into and discuss once again in some future tutorials as we move along. So we'll close this up, and now we'll leave our live device browser, button and we'll go down and we'll select the plugin device browser button. This brings up our audio units and our VSTs. Again, Ableton able to read these formats, which is great. And last but not least, we've got our file browsers. We've got file browser number 1, 2, and 3. So when I click on one of these file browsers, basically what's going to happen inside, it's going to mirror our hard drive. It's going to show us exactly what's happening on our desktop, also show us what's happening on external hard drives if we choose to do that as well. And you can see here I've got some different audio files, different loops selected, and now I'm allowed to go in and audition particular audio phrases, MIDI files, things like that. So if I click on the first one here, play this bass sound in real time, I'm able to audition these audio files inside the live browser. It makes things really, really easy and very fast as you're starting to work on your productions inside the session view and or the arrangement view.